I live in a black and white world, and so you've got to have answers, and those answers got to be something that you can look at and you can evaluate, not just have these theories or these ideas.
It's State Representative Dave Severin reacting to a proposal from some Democrats to have more battery storage across the state to store solar and wind power as the state prepares to enter a new era, forcing the closure of coal-fired power plants by 2030 and 2045. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Final segment of the live show. If you don't watch the live show each and every weekday morning, you can get that in its entirety at the Center Square on YouTube, but you can also get segments here with the Center Square as well. But get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, so yesterday, a bunch of activity, right? And again, today at the Illinois State House, a bunch of activity. So we're going to have tons to talk about even tomorrow. So be sure to put it on your calendar to wake up with us to keep updated with what's going on in Illinois at the State House. But a news conference that happened was with Illinois State Senator Bill Cunningham, Illinois State Representatives Marcus Evans Jr. and Barbara Hernandez, and several alternative energy advocacy groups and contractors. And what exactly were they talking about? Here is State Senator Bill Cunningham laying out what he says is the dire need for more battery power.
The reason we're doing this is because Illinois is at risk of experiencing power shortages, and we're also facing skyrocketing energy costs in the very near future. Illinois energy demands will outpace our supply as early as 2030. Battery storage is needed to reduce that probability and the expense.
So what exactly are they looking to do? They're looking to pass legislation that would allow for 15 gigawatt battery storage facilities across the state to store solar and wind power, so that when it's not sunny out and the wind's not blowing, they can store the power and make up for all of the demand we're going to have on our energy grid from electric vehicles, AI, quantum computing, data storage facilities. So there's clearly going to be an increased need. And he says, we're going to have this increased need by the end of the decade, 2030. Well, I asked him, to the issue of legislation that the governor signed several years ago that closes most coal-fired power plants by 2030 and all coal-fired power plants by 2045. Was that premature? Cunningham said no, because a lot of those plants are already going to close. But now we've got the Trump administration with his focus on natural gas, drill baby drill, trying to focus on clean coal. I talked with State Representative Dave Severin, a Republican, to get his reaction to the idea of legislating more battery-powered storage for wind and solar across the state.
Solar is, of course, being promoted all over, and wind, of course. But here's the thing, the battery storage. So there is definitely a lack of battery storage in the state of Illinois and the United States. So it is an important factor that we have more battery storage. But here's what I want to give you. As far as that report that they gave this morning, that they want to go ahead and push getting rid of coal. Well, let me tell you, right now in the MISO grid, coal is producing 23% of the power today of the energy. Natural gas is 18%, nuclear is 9%, solar is 10%, and wind is 4%. So wind and solar are an important part of the mix, but if you get rid of coal today and carbon, you get rid of that footprint today, you just turned your lights off. You just turned your power off. You turned your heat off. So this is so premature. And the other thing is, coal has never been cleaner than it is today. And I've been down in coal mines. My best friend was superintendent of a coal mine, and they've never been cleaner, safer. And so now is not the time to get rid of it. It's part of the mix. And if we think it's not, our head's in the sand.
So I was flashing some of the latest. Of course, Severin was looking at the chart yesterday. Well, I'm looking at it live right now, and actually coal is at 32.6% of our energy for the MISO market, and that's just part of the state. It's not the entirety of the state. You've got natural gas at 22.6%, nuclear at 13.1%. Wind actually looks like must have been a windy day in some areas, 20.2%, and then solar at 6%, with other 1.5, not sure what that would be, and imports of 4.9%. 1.1. So clearly coal and natural gas are the two major elements in our energy grid. Are we going to just litter the landscape with more windmills and more solar panels? Some people apparently want that, but is that only if there are subsidies involved, right? Because we see this a lot. New alternative energy programs require a lot of subsidies. With the group Advanced Energy United, Samarth Medikar, he answered my question about what kind of subsidies would be in Cunningham's bill to bring about 15 gigawatt battery storage facilities across the state. How many taxpayer dollars or ratepayer dollars in subsidies are going to have to go to operate all of this and to construct all of this?
Solar is, of course, being promoted all.
All right, hold on a second. Let me line that up. Go.
I think it's unclear. It depends on certain factors. So that's at this point unclear. Unless
but there
other
would be
folks have.
some level of subsidy.
There is an upfront cost to the investment, and so there is a charge. But again, as we're seeing this summer, the capacity price spikes. Some households paying upwards of $30. It's a massive, the cost of doing nothing, the cost of allowing the capacity shortages to continue, or as they projected, will be much more significant in cost.
So I also asked Cunningham, Senator Cunningham from Chicago, Democrats, what about the subsidies for this? They really couldn't give me a solid answer as to what kinds of subsidies would be involved with this type of program.
We subsidize and have in Illinois for years the development of solar and wind generation, upfront costs that are charged to ratepayers. So there's a small upfront cost, but that has a price suppression effect in the long range.
So again, no definitive answer, just a, quote, small upfront cost. Severin tackling that issue about subsidies and more on this idea of alternative energy.
All these different things that are these initiatives that are being pushed, it's with subsidies. The subsidies go away, then where are we at? And the other thing is, what are we doing with solar? With amazing farmland, we're losing that to solar. So there's some things, actually Senator Bryant, when she went overseas last year and looked at some things where they actually have the solar panels up in the air so they can still have grow some things under those solar panels. So there's a lot of different things going on, but now is not the time to get rid of coal. That's not the time. And so we're still working to keep that initiative going.
And to the issue of not knowing the dollar amount for how much subsidies would be required to bring about 15 gigawatt battery storage facilities, Severin says that doesn't cut it.
You know, I live in a black and white world, and so you've got to have answers, and those answers got to be something that you can look at and you can evaluate, not just have these theories or these ideas.
We'll be watching that issue closely, of course, on the ground at the Illinois State House each and every day that they're in session. I'm Greg Bishop with the team from the Center Square, watching what's going on so that we can bring you Illinois in Focus each and every weekday morning. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with the Center Square on YouTube. Get the newsletter each and every morning in your inbox with the headlines. Go to thecentersquare.com and get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus Daily.